evidence to a jury. She calls out the way Trump feeds on disorder, using noise to drown out silence in which substance must reside. Crockett's roast positions him as not a strong leader, but as a guy who's afraid of being irrelevant and is grasping for outrage like someone drowning grasps driftwood. We are aware that there are even young women who said that they were sexually assaulted and or sexually abused. We know that this is a person who has been convicted of sexual abuse by his peers. So, this is also a fellow who apparently doesn't really necessarily care if someone participates in these sorts of activities. So I know he's hiding something. That's all. Core uncovers Trump's fixation on image, how he treats every public moment as an opportunity for a photo. From waving a Bible upside down to becoming fixated on crowd sizes that only exist in his own head, he skewers the notion that Trump is concerned about legacy, instead implying that his legacy is already locked in. As the punchline to America's longest joke, Colbert's roast stings and lingers, showing how Trump's grandeur always devolves into slapstick. As weird as that is, the typewritten section of the letter is weirder because it seems to be some kind of short, creepy screenplay between Trump and Epstein that is done voiceover. There has to be more to life than having everything. Yes, it exists, but I will not inform you of what it is, nor will I, as I also am privy to what it is. We share some things in common. Jeffrey Crockett adds the political bite. She points to Trump's empty promises, the manner in which he poses as savior to his followers while offering little more than sloganeering and hashtags. For each big reveal, there is a shattered policy, a half-built wall, or a pending lawsuit. She reminds everyone that Trump doesn't campaign on vision. He campaigns on volume. Crockett eviscerates how he overpowers critics, not by disproving them, but by yelling louder. A strategy that is effective at rallies, but not for history books on, say, obtaining the Epstein files. As we know, y'all know how to move with clarity because y'all done some in the FBI and all the rest of them attempting to go after non-pedophiles, right? Because we know that apparently the commander-in-chief has a special place in his heart for pedophiles. Because the next thing you know, we know Miss Maxwell got transferred to a cushier life in a federal penal system, penitentiary system, right? But now you wish to target legally elected officials whose constituents are not angry with them at all. Colbert turns to Trump's affair of state with disorder.
Yesterday, the House Oversight Committee released it, and whoops-a-puby. That sure as hell looks legit. It's directly from the Jeffrey Epstein estate.
Labeling Trump the sole president who was able to make a national emergency appear like an open mic night that went awry. He satirizes Trump's speeches for their lack of coherence. The manner in which they loop about like a GPS repeating recalculate over and over again without getting to the destination. Colbert not only roasts the words, he roasts the cadence, the hand gestures, the pauses that imply deep thought reserved only for the punchline to be tripe. She demolishes the idea that Trump is a tough man by portraying him as delicate, in need of affirmation and allergic to accountability. For Crockett, Trump's biggest vulnerability is not his gaffes, it's that he cannot accept them. That's where her roast hits home. A man fixated on winning and able to never claim a loss. Consider it. Mysteries don't get old. Have you ever noticed that? In fact, it was apparent to me the last time I saw you. A buddy is such an amazing thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another amazing mystery. Wow, that is not only strange and creepy, that is absolute absurdist dialogue. Colbert struck Trump from both angles. Collar makes him silly. Crockett makes him menacing. It's a 1-2 punch of destruction. Collar humiliates him as the world's worst improviser, a man who believes riffing is running the country. Crockett demolishes him as the courtroom bully, who only succeeds when people are too busy to pay attention to details. The result is a roast that exposes Trump's presidency, not as a moment of strength, but as a running gag stretched too long. But Colbert strips it away, reminding everyone that a man can wrap himself in gold and still have nothing of value to say. The roast makes Trump look less like a titan of industry and more like a guy who got lost at a Vegas buffet. And now a lot of other things from Trump's creepy history are coming back, like this interview clip of Trump on the Howard Stern show in 2006. Do you think you could bang 24-year-olds now? Oh, sure. Would you do it? I don't have an issue. Yeah. Do you have an age that you wouldn't if I... No, no, I don't have an age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be like, you know, 12-year-old. Wow. That is not a good answer. That's one of those questions where you don't want to leave any room for ambiguity. So would you have sex with an animal? Definitely not a horse. Crockett follows up by addressing Trump's incessant need to present himself as a victim. For a man who boasts of toughness, he spends a lot of time complaining about how unfair things are. Crockett mocks him as the president who armed grievance, with every criticism becoming a persecution fantasy. She observes that his political style is more about pouting and less about problem solving, an eternal pity party with Trump as the guest of honor. The portrait that Crockett draws is savage, no leader but a chief complainer. Core then turns the knife by skewering Trump's use of slogans. He draws an analogy to a bad rerun of a sitcom where the jokes are predictable, the timing is off, and the laugh track has faded away. He ridicules the manner in which Trump's speeches come around full circle to repeat the same set of lines, as if repeating them could somehow make them true. Colbert's roast unveils Trump less as a visionary, but rather as a one-joke act on repeat. Funny the first time, but tiresome after the 50th rerun. Crockett plays up his delicate ego. She highlights how Trump responds to criticism with the maturity of a schoolyard thug, reducing Twitter to his personal diary of complaining. She mocks the way he attacks late-night jokes as if the presidency's biggest hardship is bearing punchlines. Crockett lays bare the contradiction. A man who boasts of strength but spends his evenings rage-scrolling, clamoring to silence anyone who will laugh at him. To Crockett, that's Trump's most authentic legacy, a leader who cannot live without ovations. To that, I know that there's been some talk about what's happening in LA, and they want to be able to claim that it's riots because they did not want people to continue talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever else drama was going down between the president and his little buddy. So they wanted to shift the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our favor. But let me tell you something. If they were interested in ensuring we would be financially responsible, they would inform the American people that it took them $134 million to deploy the National Guard to LA for the so-called riots the governor hadn't requested, nor had the mayor of LA requested. Colbert brought Trump's mythos crashing down to dust. Collar makes his character into farce, a caricature that implodes upon itself. Crockett deconstructs his account with surgical precision, leaving behind only contradictions. What is left is not a president to be respected, but a showman on the verge of an addiction to spectacle, craving attention and unable to reflect. The roast lingers because it freezes Trump's presidency in full. The drama, the theatrics, the vulnerability, the constant need for validation. And when the laughter and rage blend, the last image is unmistakable. Donald Trump is not remembered as the tough leader he claims to be. He is remembered as a reality TV president stuck in reruns, a vulnerable ego pampered in gold, and a warning about what occurs when a nation confuses noise with leadership. Even MAGA is calling for answers. 11 Republican members of Congress have indicated they will vote with Democrats to release the Epstein files. That would be more than a majority of Congress. So in reaction today, Speaker Mike Johnson recessed the House until September to prevent a vote on the Epstein files. It's a parliamentary trick of the trade called "you can't blame." You cannot blame Trump and his defenders for being afraid here, because the more we find out about Trump's friendship with Epstein, the more we wish we didn't. The genius of Colbert's method is the way he never allows Trump to escape responsibility for the absurdity. He returns to the showmanship of Trump's rallies, calling them half rock concert, half therapy session, and all embarrassing. Core skewers Trump's repetition of the same phrases, the same insults, the same scripted pauses, all to a crowd that applauds like it's new. He parodies the loop as evidence that Trump does not instill loyalty. He reuses it, his home crowd clapping not for innovative ideas, but for the familiarity of retired slogans. Crockett takes that stage and hammers home the cost. Crockett's roast scalds hottest here. Trump does not forge unity, he builds dependence, creating a supporter base that applauds him, not due to what he accomplishes, but due to the manner in which he insists on being applauded. In this tale is the possibility that soon we'll be able to look for Trump's name in those files ourselves. Because last night, in defiance of the president with a Republican majority, the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena all documents in the Jeffrey Epstein case in an 82 to vote. As in Collar explores Trump's preoccupation with size, not simply crowd sizes, ratings, numbers, and polls, he lampooned the fact that the president was gauging success as much as a teenage YouTube star gauges clout. Core describes Trump crouched over his phone, reloading polls like a slot machine gambler reloading slot machines. Every number having the potential to destroy his day. It's a cringeworthy portrait, the supposed leader of the free world, brought low to a man whose value is if strangers like him in real time. Crockett keeps the hammer swinging by dismantling Trump's perpetual rewriting of reality. Her strongest punch is the reminder that reality will ultimately prevail, regardless of how many times Trump attempts to warp it. His legacy isn't resilience. It's denial on repeat until it's parody. Trump traveled on Epstein's airplane a minimum of 7 times. Now, that isn't to say he did anything wrong, but it is not a good look when you travel on the pedophile's airplane enough times to receive diamond pervert status. Don't go into the lounge. Don't utilize the lounge. Some of his supporters are actually standing up for those flights. Tennessee congressman and cover model of Tell Your Mom I'm Doing Great magazine. Coar grabs the theme of denial and runs with it for comedy gold. Trump's remarkable power to rewrite history in the same breath, as if gaslighting were super presidential power, is something he mocks. Core mocks Trump's interviews in which every response wanders into self-admiration. Each tale concludes with Trump as a hero, and each failure somehow morphs into someone else's. The picture is tragic. A man so severely allergic to responsibility that he's recast his own failures as fairy tales. Crockett hones the edge by bringing Trump's hypocrisy to the fore. She unpacks the paradox of a man who purports to battle on behalf of the working class while residing in Golden Towers. A man who complains about elites while having dinner parties that are essentially costume events for billionaires. Crockett lays out the scam in clinical ferocity. Trump is not of the people. He is using them, marketing their outrage as his commodity, and selling it to them as loyalty. Big whoop that he had an affair with Jeffrey Epstein ago. But from Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey had told him he gave Trump the cold shoulder after he discovered Trump was a crook. Wow, that is unprecedented, breathtaking. Jeffrey Epstein cutting you out because you're a crook is like entering an intervention facilitated by Rudy Giuliani. Calabar goes full con man persona, depicting Trump more as a carnival barker than a president. He ridicules the constant promises, the soon-to-be-here rhetoric that does nothing. Collar emphasizes Trump's greatest achievement is not policy, it's branding. He's made grievance into a chain, outrage into a recurring service, and America an audience. The joke is savage. Trump doesn't govern the nation, he operates a souvenir stand. Crockett closes the door with a courtroom-like summary. She makes it categorically clear that Trump's presidency is a warning, not a success. His fixation on image, his addiction to chaos, his terror of accountability. They are not strength, they are frailties. Crockett doesn't simply mock Trump as inept. She labels him unfit, a leader who muddles performance and leadership, applause and progress, and noise and power. Her conclusion hits like a gavel. History will not recall the showmanship, but only the failure behind it. The combined impact of Collar's humor and Crockett's accuracy is ruinous. Colbert debases Trump of dignity by lampooning his nonsenses, and Crockett debases him of legitimacy by laying bare his failures. Together, they paint a picture so embarrassing that there remains no space for defense. Trump is not as virile a man as he would have us believe. He's the punchline, the defendant, and the cautionary tale all in one. What remains is the ultimate humiliation. Donald Trump, the self-styled genius, titan, and savior, gets reduced to something much smaller. Calabar leaves him as an extended joke that wore thin. Crockett leaves him as a defeated defendant in the court of history. The punchline writes itself. Trump wanted to be known as America's finest president, but because of Colbert and Crockett, he's locked in memory as the desperate performer who confused applause for success, grievance for leadership, and chaos for greatness.